Teisha Bader with Shalom TV's news update for Thursday, April the 4th, 2013. Ynet reports that an IDF investigation into yesterday's shooting incident that left 2 Palestinians dead said that IDF soldiers followed the rules of engagement and acted according to protocol. As you may have seen on IBA News, 2 Palestinians aged 17 and 18 were shot at after hurling firebombs at an IDF post. Their deaths sparked more riots across the West Bank today. According to the preliminary investigation, an IDF unit spotted 4 men with firebombs heading towards a West Bank IDF battalion post. The battalion commander and a soldier came out of the post to stop the attackers. However, the 4 still managed to get close enough to the post and hurl one of the firebombs at it. In return, the IDF soldiers fired, killing one of the attackers. And in the chase that ensued after the others, a second attacker was killed. A senior official with the IDF Central Command said the soldiers' lives were at risk and therefore they opened fire. According to Ynet, the IDF will examine how the Palestinians managed to come so close to the post and whether the soldiers could have possibly controlled the incident without the use of live fire. French news agency AFP reported that Hamas in Gaza arrested 2 members of an al-Qaeda-inspired group believed to be behind recent rocket attacks on southern Israel. The AFP cited an unnamed source close to the Mujahideen Shura Council who said they were behind the recent rocket fire, and the source said that Hamas's domestic security forces arrested 2, quote, holy fighters of the council, one of whom was released soon afterwards. Hamas's Interior Ministry denies making any arrests of those firing rockets into Israel. As you may have seen on IBA News, several more rockets were fired into southern Israel today, landing in the Eshkol Regional Council without causing damage or injury. Last night, the Israel Air Force struck 2 terror targets in the Gaza Strip in response to rockets fired into Israel on Tuesday. The Jerusalem Post reported that the IDF believes that Hamas is not looking to return to hostilities with Israel, and that its determination and ability to keep small jihadi groups in Gaza, like the Shura Council, in check will be what determines the extent of the IDF's response. The leaders of the Conference of Presidents of major American Jewish organizations praised France yesterday for their decision to support the designation of Hezbollah as a terrorist organization by the European Union. This follows reports last week that said that France's Foreign Minister Laurent Fabius told visiting U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry that his country would support adding the armed wing of Hezbollah to the EU list. Conference of Presidents Chairman Richard Stone and Executive Vice Chairman Malcolm Hoenlein said that Fabius, as well as French Prime Minister Ayrault and President Hollande, had been receptive to the arguments the conference leaders made for the Hezbollah designation during their recent mission to France. Stone and Hoenlein said they hoped other European countries would now follow France's stand, ultimately leading to the EU taking action. Saying the designation of Hezbollah as a terrorist organization by the European Union will send an important message about the determination of Europe to deal with terrorism seriously. Israel police today informed the women of the Wall Group that they will not be allowed to say Kaddish, the mourner's prayer, at the Wall when they gather there to pray next Thursday, the start of the Hebrew month of Iyar. The Women of the Wall group, who aims to secure equal rights for women at Jerusalem's Western Wall, holds a prayer service there at the beginning of each new Hebrew month. Jerusalem's Police Commissioner Yossi Pariente sent a letter to the group saying that the police would be enforcing a 2005 ruling prohibiting women from saying certain prayers at the Wall, like the Kaddish, in addition to the already implemented ban on women wearing prayer shawls and reading from the Torah at the Wall. The group's chairwoman, Anat Hoffman, called the prohibition a shanda, Yiddish for shameful, particularly because of its timing, just ahead of Holocaust Remembrance Day, the Day of Remembrance for Israeli soldiers, and Independence Day in Israel. She said these days symbolize the unity of the Jewish faith and fate, as well as the shared national and personal price we pay. To refuse mothers and mourning women the right and obligation of saying the mourner's prayer, Kaddish, is cold-hearted. She added that the women would be there and would recite Kaddish. Well, now it appears that the Western Wall rabbi, who is believed to be behind the new police directive, is backtracking. Ynet reports that Rabbi Shmuel Rabinowitz has now made a commitment that police would not arrest women who recite Kaddish at the wall despite today's directive, apparently in response to criticism received over it from Jewish Agency Chairman Natan Sharansky. At the end of last year, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu had asked Sharansky to examine the women prayer at the wall issue and come up with a solution, telling him that the Western Wall must remain a source of Jewish unity and not division. And that's Shalom TV's news update for Thursday, April the 4th, 2013. I'm Teisha Bader.